Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, October 25. If you're watching live on Monday, October 25, we encourage you to call in. As always, our call-in number is 769-1677. As always, you can watch us on PCTV76.org with live webcasting or also on-demand video after the meeting is over. And you can also watch on Verizon Fios or Cablevision Optimum services. Our next meeting is actually tomorrow. We have a joint meeting tomorrow with the school board that will take place in the high school media room, the new high school library. That will be tomorrow night, Tuesday, October 26th at 7:30 p.m. And then our next regularly scheduled trustee meeting is a work session on Monday, November 1 at 7 p.m. with a regular meeting Monday, November 8. I think the meeting cannot be started without a comment on the tragic events that happened a week ago in our community. The chief and I will be having a brief news conference tomorrow where we will both make statements about the tragic event that happened at the Thornwood Town Center. And all of us, I think, have been reeling from this, both because a young man's life was lost, because Pleasantville Village police officer was seriously injured, because of the shock of this unprecedented event in our community, and because of the deep sadness that all of us have carried since we had word of this event. It has been well more than 2 decades since a Pleasantville police officer fired a gun, and it is certainly a great shock to all of us, and a tragedy on many different levels. So on behalf of the Village of Pleasantville, I extend now, as I have already, our heartfelt sympathy to the family of Don Roy Henry, the young man and PACE student who was killed. We extend our thoughts and concerns to our police officer, Aaron Hess, who was injured, and we hope will recover quickly and fully from the injuries he suffered that night. Amid all this, there are responsibilities that we have to meet, and we will meet them. First and foremost among those is that the administration of the village will participate in every way we can to the full investigation of this, so that the truth is known and understood. It's an investigation being led by 3 agencies: the Town of Mount Pleasant, where the event actually happened, the Westchester County District Attorney's Office, as well as the New York State Police. So as the investigation proceeds, we ask everybody not to rush to judgment about what happened that night or the motives of anybody involved. I think the Henry family deserves that. Our officers who were involved deserve that, and the community at large deserves that. Amid all this, I think if there's anything to be said, it has certainly felt to me as though we are bound in all of this by a common sadness, everybody from their own vantage point, and I am hopeful that that sadness will be common ground from which we can build forward, work our way through our responsibilities to sort out this tragic event, and everyone can heal from what, by any reasonable standard, is a tragedy, I think, for virtually everybody involved. That said, we continue with our responsibilities tonight as we need to do, and I can report that we had a work session over the last hour and a half and talked about a variety of different things, including field use fees and the potential future use of the Ambulance Corps building. For those who may not be aware, the Pleasantville Volunteer Ambulance Corps, which has for 55 years occupied the building adjacent to our football field on Marble Avenue, has moved to a new location in a space that has been donated by the Town of Mount Pleasant, the former Thornwood Water District building, and so PVAC will provide the services that we have all come to count on from that great group of volunteers from a new location. That has returned to the village inventory this building that for all these many years has been used by PVAC, and we are in the process of looking at what might be needed in order to use the building for a different use. I've received quite a few comments via email from many community members about the potential for using it for recreation purposes, and that is very high on our radar screen, both because of the need for such a space and also the proximity of the building to the fields and the small parking lot in that location. So more on that soon. We made a visit as a board to the building a couple of weeks ago when it was vacated by the ambulance corps and took a look at it. We're in the process of getting some prices from contractors about what it might cost to make various kinds of improvements in order to use it for other purposes and possibly to convert the garages to habitable space. So more on that later, but I do know it's a concern for lots of people, and we had a conversation with 4 or 5 people who were concerned about it enough to come down and share their thoughts with us tonight, which is, as always, very much appreciated. I had a couple of announcements to make, and the first is that Saturday was a very, very busy day in the village, both because our thriving farm market was active with the harvest vegetables that have become so popular. But amid that, it was also the Pace University Make a Difference Day, and we had more than 30 Pace students downtown and up at the library and various places around the village, helping with cleaning things up and working on some gardening and beautification. And it's an activity that has happened annually for quite some period of time, but particularly appreciated and particularly impressive on the part of those young people in such a difficult week to express the ties that we have had for a very long time to Pace University and that we hope will only grow. So I had an opportunity to thank some of those students who were downtown on their hands and knees helping clean up our downtown, which is yeoman service under any circumstances, but really particularly admirable under such difficult circumstances as we all experienced this week. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there was a really great ceremony that began the church service for the Emmanuel Lutheran Church on Manville Road, dedicating their new solar array. To their eternal credit, the church was able to put together a combination of some state grants as well as financing they created to fill the entire side of their roof with solar panels. If you drive by Manville Road, you can take a look, and it's a little hard to notice because they blend in quite nicely, but half the roof is now covered with solar panels, and those solar panels are producing not only enough power in lots of cases to power the church, but also to return some power to the grid at large. So it was a great ceremony. Pastor Paul Egensteiner invited both me and County Legislator John Nona to share in that experience along with the congregation, and so it was really a great day, and they fully deserve the press coverage they got for a really great project. A couple of other things are going on. The aforementioned County Legislator John Nona, our former mayor, has a town meeting that will be taking place on Wednesday. At I nod to Mindy because she is John's legislative assistant. Aide, sorry. Got to get those county titles right.
Personally.
Okay, there we have it. His PAI. John is having a town meeting at 7:30 p.m. at the Clinton Street Center, 1A Clinton Street. That's the senior center right around the corner behind the Chase Manhattan Bank building. That's at 7:30.
Yep.
And he invites anybody with any subject to come and have an opportunity to exchange their thoughts with him. So that's Wednesday night at 7:30 at the Clinton Street Center. John Nona.
I do want to add that this is his third meeting, but our last meeting last week was in North Castle, where there was quite a large discussion about the bear that's loose in North Castle, and just the mere discussion with the county legislator, the bear was caught today. So, and trapped nicely, humanely, and taken away. So we hope there's not another bear. So hide your pumpkins anyway.
You want results, call John Nona.
Yeah.
So, then the last thing I wanted to mention is to remind everybody that let's see, a week from tomorrow is Election Day, Tuesday, November 2. Polls open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We received, as I hope you have at home, the League of Women Voters annual publication that lays out who's running and what the issues are, and we encourage, as always, everybody find a way to the polls, Tuesday, November 2, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
You're not going to be at the polls are going to be at the ambulance corps.
That's for certain districts.
Various districts vote in various places. You get your notice from the County Board of Elections, but for the most part, so far as I'm aware, pretty much everybody's going to be voting the same place they always did, right. Depending on their district. And
We're
Anybody else?
using that building though.
Yes.
We're voting.
For one of the
Still.
district
Yes.
that always uses
Still,
that building is using that
That's what I
building.
meant. We're
Yes.
still using that
I don't
building.
know which one
for
that
voting.
is.
And you are right, exactly right. As always.
It's a political save.
So, anybody else have anything they wanted to report?
No.
A quiet
I do,
bunch.
but I'll say it at the end.
Okay,
No, I'll do it now. It doesn't matter.
okay.
One of the things you missed about Saturday, pivotal event, which Trustee Lopez was part of, was the pie baking
Forgot about
contest.
that, yes.
Yes, you did. And I bring it up because I happen to have the 3 top finalists of the pie eating contest.
Are you sure you shouldn't
Yeah, I
ask
think
this?
there's
Do I
a
need
little
to recuse
nepotism.
myself from
Yeah,
this?
yeah, you need to
No, I don't need to
yourself.
recuse myself from this.
All right, certainly not from
In
me.
third place was Mandy Yasinski. In second place, and she was robbed. No,
She was
it wasn't.
robbed.
Was Tanya Cunningham, who I've always known made the best pie in Westchester. And finally, Patricia, well-deserved, Donato, was first place in the pie eating contest, or pie baking contest, apple pie baking
I
contest.
thought that was
to
the
be exact.
previous Saturday.
It was
was the
previous
previous
Two
Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturdays
It was
ago.
2 Saturdays ago.
This is our first meeting where I could actually announce it, so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to all.
To
Especially
all.
Tanya Cunningham.
Did,
Oh, man, I got about 5-10 extra pounds on me from the pie. So
did you play a role in the making of that pie?
I peeled the apples.
So you get an honorable mention. I
Make
think
sure
so.
he has all his fingernails.
Gives us an opportunity to say once again, Tony Emerson happens to be in the audience tonight, Farm Market Committee member from the beginning and a stalwart supporter of all that we have done, along with Mindy and Brian, who were there at the beginning. And we have this new blood injected as well into the Farm Market Committee in the form of Peter Raghavan and Andy Goodman and Amanda Dundas, and they have just done a great job. So
And the first pie baking contest, it was 2 pies, Tony's pie and my pie.
Did I judge that?
I think it, no.
I judged 1 year.
Which
you
It's a
won.
miserable job.
I think it was John, actually.
Yeah, better than
Tony
me.
won.
all right, thank you for that.
Although mine was better.
Do we have a motion to open the public hearing regarding local law amending Chapter 173 Vehicles and Traffic, Sections 173-60 Parking Prohibited at all times, and 173-66 Time Limit Parking?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This is a local law that would revise the parking arrangements on the hilly section of Clinton Street, just up from the senior center and around the corner from the Riviera Restaurant. Section 173-60, parking prohibited at all times, would produce a circumstance where the north side of Clinton Street, that's the side closest to the building that has Riviera in it, would have no parking from a point 105 feet from the intersection at Tompkins, east for 145 feet to the stairway, and on the south side of that street, from the intersection of Tompkins to a point 144 feet east. That would delete the time limit parking rules that exist right now on the north side of Clinton Street, which is 2-hour parking, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. From the bottom of the stairs to Tompkins. And we would also add time-limited parking on the south side of Clinton Street from a point 140 feet east of Tompkins Avenue to the stair and up to the stairway. So the short version of all of that storm of words is that we've had a number of complaints from businesses and residents in the area that with people parked on both sides, it's extremely difficult for people to get around and UPS trucks to do what they have to do and the like. So the effect of this is that parking would continue to be allowed on the south side of the street on a 2-hour basis, but only well past Tompkins Avenue. And on the north side of the street, adjacent to the building that has the Riviera in it, there would be limited parking we'd restrict parking for a big section in the middle. Parking would still be allowed right next to the building and still be allowed at the far end. So anybody have any comments? Is there any comment from the public on this? Number is 769-1677.
It's a long time coming. I talk to the UPS driver almost every day about this issue. So it's a good
I would have
thing.
called him.
No, wait. It
I'm
turns out
kidding.
I walk to work every day on that street, and he's often there. So
You are an interesting conversationalist. Every day about the parking, man.
All right, so if there are,
Talks to me about it.
if there are no
Let's say that.
further comments, as reported, this accommodates the concerns of the neighbors and businesses in the area, and it also reflects the advice of the police chief who's taking a look at the situation in that area. So,
Can I just suggest that, given the terrific job you did in describing this, that serve as the record for the
Yes, please, don't make me read
for
that.
the resolution? So
Yes,
that,
as stated in the public record.
as previously
As
stated,
previously
okay,
stated in the
fine.
public hearing.
That would be
That
letting
would
Mindy
be
off
me.
the hook because it's the first resolution.
Thank
so.
you, Jude.
That's
All right, is
fine.
there a motion to close the
Nothing.
public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. So we will now move to our resolutions, the first of which is 2010-120.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves a local law amending Chapter 173, Vehicle and Traffic, Section 173-60, Parking Prohibited at All Times, and 173-66, Time Limit Parking, as stated in the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Jonathan, number 121.
Resolved that the pre-check register dated October 25th, 2010, covering checks 67,724 to 67,828 have been reviewed, and they are hereby approved as listed below. The general fund, $165,055. The miscellaneous revenue fund, $80. The water fund, $104,925. Capital fund, $24,738. The refuse fund, $17,538. Pool, $3,444. And the trust and agency fund of $2,975.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the check register? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Brian, 122.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meetings held on Monday, September 27th and Monday, October 11th, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or corrections?
No, I just appreciate that you put that into the record from last meeting where we didn't approve it, so thank you. So
Right.
your comments are duly noted on here. So my comments regarding our concerns, Jonathan.
I was absent.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Number 123, Mindy.
123.
It could save you from
Oh,
all but what I
jeez.
could save you from.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the following budget amendments. Increase revenue and expense to allocate bond proceeds to the correct accounts. Increase, the amount to increase $350,000 from bond proceeds to judgment and claims. $175,000 from bond proceeds to the DPW roof. $280,000 bond proceeds to the DPW equipment. These are all from bond proceeds. $300,000 to the chlorination unit. $1,065,000 to the property acquisition, totaling $2,170,000. And reverse the 82310 general fund appropriations of fund balance for judgments and claims. Amount to be decreased, $350,000. Payments for leased vehicles, $5,433.60 from contingency to building department leased vehicles.
Is there a second?
Second.
See if we can deconstruct that for those of you who are watching. If you've watched recently, you know that we approved a rather substantial bond issue that was actually floated, and the bonds were sold, 2 weeks ago? Jonathan being very helpful in that regard, and I'm happy also to report that our bond rating was recently reviewed and affirmed
It was actually upgraded.
by...
We found out.
Right. Oh, was it?
By S&P, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Not in this review, but as
Right.
part of their overall review, we
Uh-huh.
were upgraded to AA.
So the village was found by the bond rating agencies to be in a very strong position. So
That was reformed.
the description of the bond proceeds that Mindy just read, the $350,000 for judgments and claims is the first part of a tax refund that we're required to provide to the Foxwood condominium, about which much has been said in recent months. The $175,000 for the Department of Public Works roof is also something we've talked about in the past. It's an expense we knew was coming, and although nobody likes to spend that kind of money on a kind of an unrewarding expense, it's part of keeping our house in order. And the good news is that it will also prepare the roof for a $250,000 solar panel installation that's entirely funded by a federal grant. So after spending $175,000 on the DPW roof, we will get a $250,000 solar array on the roof at no cost to the village, and that will provide a tremendous benefit ongoing in reducing our utility costs. The $280,000 for DPW equipment reflects the purchase of new trucks. It is a very strategic purchase that allows us to buy some new equipment to replace aging equipment, and that new equipment will allow us to reduce the total count of trucks because it's more flexible, and in one case, for example, allows us to both plow snow and deliver brine or salt in the same pass. A task that at the moment requires 2 trucks and 2 men will now be able to be done with 1 truck and 1 employee. The $300,000 for chlorination reflects an expense that we are required to incur because the Department of Health will no longer allow us to be grandfathered with our current practice in the summer months of adding additional chlorine to the water tanks in a manual process. They require that it be automated with very specific specs, and so we will have to build a modest, I say modest, $300,000 is hardly modest, but a new little building with code-compliant systems to inject chlorine into the water as required. And then the last piece of it, and the biggest piece of all, is $1,065,000 for property acquisition, and that is for the acquisition of the Lane Plumbing property, also about which much has been said, the short version of which is we have, I think, agreed on this board unanimously that it's a strategic purchase for us to make as part of a long-term plan to, or even a short-term plan to kickstart some development in the downtown, and in the near term intend to use that for parking, which will relieve a rather serious problem that's been an obstacle to growth. Anybody want to add to any of that?
Well,
long-winded?
I do have a procedural question about this. We're moving these now directly into specific capital accounts. Judy, do you know? My issue is that the chlorination plant, for example,
Right.
we've had estimates between $75,000 and $300,000, and what I would like to avoid if we can is that once these funds go into a capital account, they get locked in there, and we have no ability to take them out. So to the degree that we can not allocate them yet until we have a better sense of what this chlorination plant may indeed cost us, because there's other places that we could put this money. Indeed, aren't we a little bit, is there a degree of flexibility we have surrounding how we do this right now?
Well, the 75,000 wasn't a quote. That was,
Well,
and that was a verbal estimate that
Right.
was way off. And I think that this one is the one that is still reduced from the last actual hard
Right.
quote we got.
I am sure that may be the case, although
I'm still not happy with that amount, though. I'm sure
in
you're not
talking
either.
in talking with Patty, and I'm not, honestly, I'm not even sure we need to do this yet. You know,
Well, I will say the health department has us on notice.
I know, but
Required to do
they, you know, the question is,
Right.
have they had Mount Pleasant on notice for 20 years because they didn't line their water mains? I mean, I don't know what that means. All I know is, you know, my question here is that we had 3 or 4 hits 2 years ago of increased level of some sort of infiltration. in our-
Deadly bacteria.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't deadly bacteria, but it was higher
Thank you,
level.
Brian, for
Thank you,
that.
Brian. Start a pen.
It was
Yeah.
higher levels than the tests allow. We were told that was because of increased heat and some other things. Although we were also told that there could have been contaminated water bottle. I'm not sure we ever really knew. All I know is that the explanation that they gave for the reason that we had increased levels 2 years ago, this summer was the hottest summer on record. And if you were going to have chlorination issues, in issues resulting from that, you would have expected that you would have seen them this year, and we didn't have one negative hit that I'm aware of. So, again, we may have to do this. In all likelihood, we do have to do this, but I sure would like to take that money and put it somewhere where we have some flexibility with it, because we can use it in other areas if indeed we can do a chlorination
Jonathan,
plant at a much lower price, or...
We're a budget amendment away from moving it around if we need to.
No, you're not.
Well, yeah, we are, like we're doing here. I mean,
No. But once the money goes
it's
into...
allocated, but it's not.
My
in the
belief is
TNA
that once you
account.
put it into a capital account, you can't take it out of a capital account.
All right, well, so could I, here's my take on it. First off,
Not into a capital.
I'm absolutely convinced that we have to build the chlorination plant. If there's a way to build it for less than $300,000, that would be great, and we certainly put their feet to the fire to make that happen. But that said, we've already borrowed the money based on that rough budget, and if it goes into the water fund capital account, which is where it would go, we already know that we have that much money and more to spend in capital funds out of the water fund.
If you can do that. I mean, that's what I'm asking, is that...
But I think it's going into the water fund capital account.
It's not designated, is it? I mean,
I just-
it's just in
Well,
the account.
that, these are all the questions I'm asking, of which I want to make sure we have an answer for
Okay,
that.
well-
Because I don't want to end up, that we've got a $125,000 chlorination plant, and we've had this happen in these capital accounts.
201-8332.
How about this? This is essentially a...
Like I started, it's procedural.
An accounting mechanism. So why don't we table this and be certain that,
You couldn't do that before I read the whole thing?
Well, I wanted to torch you.
let's table this for consideration 2 weeks from now, at which point we can have the finance department address that for sure.
I thought the motion.
So do we have a motion to table 2010-123?
Good, John.
Thank you. Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is tabled. 124, that would be Jonathan, I think.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, based upon the recommendation of the Police Chief, hereby approves Lieutenant Richard Love to attend the FBI National Academy from January 11, 2011 through March 18, 2011 at a cost not to exceed $1,000.
Is there a second?
Second?
Lieutenant Richard Love has applied to the FBI National Academy, which is a distinguished program that takes place in Quantico, Virginia, and he has been approved for the 244th class of that academy that starts January 10, 2011 and runs to March 18, 2011. He's the first member in the history of the department to have attended that, and that distinction is made clear by the opening of the application form, which says selection to the FBI National Academy is a highly competitive process. Only a fraction of the applicants are ever selected, and it is not uncommon for applicants to wait years after submitting an application before being selected. So congratulations to Lieutenant Love for that. As mentioned, the estimated cost of this is $1,000, and that is essentially travel cost to and from over the course of this several-month program. Those funds are included in our conference line for the police department, and the course itself is paid for by the federal government. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And congratulations again to Lieutenant Love.
And he had to get into great physical shape to do this also.
And how is it that we have a police form revised 7/11/2000 that spells conference incorrectly? How was that?
I suggest you mark that and bring it to their attention. 125.
10 years old.
That's you.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, based upon the recommendation of the village attorney, hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign a revocable street license agreement with Old Stone Hill LLC for the property located at 49 Marble Avenue, Section 2, Block 49, lots 12 to 17.
Is there a second?
Second.
What is proposed here is a revocable license agreement for property that will become the new no, I'm sorry, I've got the wrong one. This is the property at the CarQuest Auto Parts property, and they are in the process of going through the planning commission and legitimizing a number of conditions in the building that had occurred without proper site plan or building department review, and they are near the end of that process and have proposed to make some improvements to the front of the building that we have discussed with them at various points, and it includes some improvements as well as planters at the front of the building, and produces this revocable license agreement that is similar in character to ones we have in some other circumstances. Anybody have any comments or questions?
Trees, even. That's what people will see.
Yeah, it's going to be a substantially better circumstance. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 126, Mindy.
You think this is fine?
Funny how it all came out that way, isn't it?
Why isn't Lopez here? Whereas the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, Westchester County, New York, the village proposes to sign a revocable license agreement for the purpose of allowing the expansion of a loading dock and planting area within the public right-of-way located at 49 Marble Avenue, known as the project, and whereas pursuant to Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, as amended, known as the State Environment, the SECRA, and the regulations adopted pursuant thereto to the Department of Environmental Conservation of the State of New York, being 6 NYCRR Part 617, as amended the regulations, the village desires to comply with SECRA and the regulations with respect to the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby determines that the project constitute a Type 2 action, which under SECRA and the regulations in particular 6 NYCRR Section 617.5C2 will not have significant effect on the environment. Accordingly, no further action under SECRA is required. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's possible that we should have done these in the reverse order. Do you think that's an issue, Judy? It's a small market problem.
We've got the best law team in the county.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. That would be the end of our resolutions. I had one other letter in my mail that I wanted to make mention of, and those of you who are Cablevision subscribers are well aware of it, but it is a letter from Cablevision to the New York State Public Service Commission fulfilling the requirements they have regarding the current elimination of Fox 5, WOR 9, Fox Business Network, National Geographic, and Fox Deportes channels. As we all know from the press, Cablevision is in a pricing argument with the owners of those channels, and as of the moment they have gone dark. So we are aware of it and have certainly expressed our opinion to Cablevision about
2 weeks dark.
the desire for them to resolve their business differences as soon as they possibly can. I dare say that recent experience would suggest that we may all be in for more of those arguments with cable providers of every stripe and their content providers in the coming weeks and months, but it certainly is a frustration, especially at the baseball playoffs time.
Well, now that the Yankees are out of it, I
I was
don't
going to
really
say,
care very much
it
anymore.
may have protected Mindy from having seen the end of the
You protected
Yankees
me from all
season.
the Dolphin games I missed.
Sympathy to all parties who are Yankees fans. So, anyone else have anything to add? All right, there being no further business, motion to adjourn.
So-
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you all. As mentioned, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, if it's a subject of interest to you, we have a joint meeting with the Board of Education. That is at 7:30 p.m. in the new high school media room tomorrow night. Thank you all.